What's up, Buttercups? My name is Caitlin Donald, and I am the Education Fellow at the Dubuque Museum of Art, and this is the next Art Adventures video. Today's topic is Victorian microscope slides. So to give a little bit of background, in the mid-1800s, which is what we call the Victorian era, the middle class was doing pretty well. They were doing really, really well. And most households had a well-traveled microscope. Literacy, the ability to read, was way up, and society was taking on an attitude of well-roundedness. They were finding interests in everything from arts to sciences to behavior. Everyone kind of wanted to know everything. There was a huge uptake in scientific illustration at this time, too. The microscope was becoming a perfected tool at this time. So it was becoming a really, really, really good way to look at tiny, tiny things. And because this tool, the microscope, was advancing, the demand for cool stuff to look at kept increasing. So what companies and people would do to make their microscope slides is they would have a piece of glass. They'd have a piece of glass, and then they would stick their specimen on that glass. And then they would stick another tinier piece of glass over their specimen. And then they would stick a piece of paper over that. So you can kind of see this little square. So that's what we call cover glass. That's what's holding the specimen to the slide. And the paper is holding it all together, kind of like the bread on a sandwich. And people were discovering these tiny, tiny worlds, and it was really common to actually make up fairy tales about these small creatures they were seeing for the first time. And it was really, really cool. Common people, common folks, the general public, would just go out and find a specimen. They would go out, they would find specimens, they would come home, and they would make their slide. And part of that slide making process was including who you are as an individual. So you see all these papers and colors and things. People would put together all these things that would indicate their personality. And Victorians loved showing off. People that lived in the 1800s, they loved showing off. So what would happen is if you had a guest over, they would come over and they probably would look at your slide collection. And so you wanted your slide collection to look beautiful. Not just the specimen itself, but the actual slide as an object of beauty. By 1840, the papers got pretty intense. Look at this one. So this one has actual gold painted on it. And this one has gold painted on it. This one actually has gold paint. I think all of these have gold painted on it. Anyway. By the 1840s, the papers were full-on little artworks, and they were meant to decorate the slide, to kind of show off. You didn't want to just be scientific, you wanted to be artistic. You wanted to be well-rounded in the Victorian age. The time period of beautiful Victorian microscope slides didn't last very long. It was extremely short, and it ended around 1880 because new ways were being invented to attach that cover slip to the slide. And slowly but surely, the beautiful papers kind of went out of fashion. But I think they're still very pretty. So if we look at these as tiny little works of art, I want you to look at all the line work that goes into it. And all of this is gold. Let's see. Look at all of these. So there are a lot of them are patterns. A lot of them are very fancy. They look very rich. A lot of these colors, because these slides are all usually very, very old, a lot of the colors have faded. But I want you to notice some of them, and a lot of these slides, if you look at the specimen and you look at the color of the slide is actually pretty complementary. So it means that it makes that specimen pop. So for instance, this specimen is a little tick, and it's kind of brownish red, and it's surrounded by green, which makes kind of like Christmas colors. It makes that red and that brown pop. So again, it's that idea of making something beautiful, because you're going to show it to your friends when you have like dinner parties and stuff. This is actually an artist who puts insects, like legit insects, in boxes that look like Victorian microscope slides. So this is not an actual Victorian microscope slide, but it's pretty, so I put it in here. But again, I want you guys to notice color, the color and the line work, because the colors are meant to, a lot of times they're very rich looking, and they're meant to pop, but they're also meant to show you the different specimens. Did all the line work? So now we can talk about projects. Okay, so we are going to make our own microscope slides. And I'm assuming you guys don't have like a pile of microscope slides just chilling at your place. But we are going to draw. We're going to draw our microscope slides. So what you'll need is paper, pencils, or art supplies, ruler, packaging tape, and you're going to need a specimen, which means you got to go find one. Go out and have an adventure and pick something cool. It works better if it's flat-ish. But yeah, go find stuff.
Like this stuff or this stuff.
Okay, so now that you have found your cool stuff, you're going to put it to the side. So put your cool stuff in a nice, safe place to the side. Grab a pencil and a ruler. Or you can just freehand it. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to use this because this is easier. And what I want you guys to think about is colors and textures. I want you to think about why you chose your little objects, why you guys wanted to look at that, why you wanted that to be a focus. Because that's going to be what your artwork is going to be. And then I have this, but if you have something like a bottle cap or, you know, a roll of tape, something like that, you can use that to trace. Just like that. And then I'll do with this in marker so you guys can see it better. Microscope slide. So now what I want you to do is you want to make your art. So I want you to cover in all of this area with texture and color and line work and things that you as an artist want to communicate about your specimen. And once you've done that, what we're going to do, so we'll pretend these lines are really fancy artwork that I did. And I'll actually show you some of my microscope slides that I have done that are way better than this. But you're going to take a piece of packaging tape and you're going to put it in the middle. This is after everything's done. And then you're going to take your specimen. You're going to take what you found. I have more snake sheds, so I'm going to do more snake sheds because I think snake sheds are really cool. I got to try and find my scissors. There they are. So we'll do, I'm going to cut it. Should I cut it into a shape? I'm going to cut it into a shape cut it into like a, I'm try and cut it into a cool rectangle. This is my specimen. And the reason we did packaging tape right first, so the reason we did packaging tape first is because if you picked something like grass or a flower or something kind of biological that has like some juices in it, that way it won't leak onto your artwork. So it's not gonna kind of fill up your artwork, kind of like when you sorry, that was loud. Kind of like when you spill something and a napkin soaks it all up. We don't want your paper to soak up whatever your specimen is. So now that you have your packaging tape, your specimen, now we're going to take more packaging tape and we're going to just cover the whole thing. And sometimes, I don't know if you can see that, it's like staticky, so it's picking up my specimen before it even, before it even touches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. So the sticky side is up, and then I'm going to put my specimen where I want it. And then I'm going to do packaging tape just like that. And you want the packaging tape to cover your entire specimen. And then you can cut out your microscope slide and hang it on the fridge. Or make a giant microscope. That would be pretty cool. If you do make a giant microscope, please tell me about it and send me pictures. These are ones I did last year just for fun, but this is, again, another snake shed. Like I said, I really like snake sheds. But this one I kind of worked hard on it. I liked it though. This is a rat snake shed. And I left a little block for the label that I never actually labeled. And then this one I did for a camp, an art camp. And this one it's really hard to see because it's white, but it's a dandelion leaf, or a dandelion seed pod. And then I just did plants. And that was really fun to color in. But because it was for camp, we just taped it and it's slowly falling apart. Versus this one I actually legit glued. But this one I actually worked hard on. This one I kind of worked hard on it. But this one I like. So those are my two slides. I want to make more eventually just because they're really fun for me to make. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you make anything like a giant microscope, I would love to see it. Or if you make a Victorian microscope slide, or if you just make anything at all and you just want to draw a cool picture and show it off, I would love to see that too. I will see you guys next video. I guess, yeah, have a good night.